Hey guys, so I know I have been teasing this video for quite a while, but I'm finally here to tell you all about our dramatic backyard transformation. And when I say dramatic, I am not even kidding. The backyard started out not pretty. It was not anything exciting. It was not anywhere that I like to hang out. I rarely went in the backyard. Really, the only time I would go in the backyard is to let the dog out. I never wanted to go out there just because it was so uninviting. And if you remember, when we first moved into this house, I said, when I walk into this house, I want to feel like I'm on vacation. That is my goal. I want to feel like I'm on vacation somewhere by the beach. I wanted to feel grand and luxurious and beachy like Martha's Vineyard, but I also wanted to feel cozy and lived in and just kind of laid back at the same time like Laguna Beach. I wanted to create a space where I felt like I was on vacation every single day. And so I had this big vision in mind for the backyard, and I wanted it to tie into that sentiment. I wanted to feel like I had my own private backyard, hidden oasis, kind of a resort feel. So this is what the yard looked like before. There was nothing out there. It was just grass. The grass didn't even look that nice. We had this patio, which when we moved in the house, I knew from the jump that we were going to change the paving on the patio. I really did not like it. I didn't like that texture material, whatever they were using, painted textured concrete, maybe, I don't know. And I just wanted to create an outdoor space that I actually wanted to hang out in. So the backyard project actually started by us having an outdoor kitchen built. That was step one. And I have a separate video detailing the breakdown on that, how that process went. So I will link it below if you guys have not seen that. And I've done a few renovations in our previous home, and I have furnished this home, but I've never done any outdoor builds. And so I wanted to start with the outdoor kitchen, like a smaller job first, just to see how that all went, and also to try out this company because we initially were thinking of having them do our pool as well, which ultimately did not work out. But I wanted to start small and then do the rest of the yard afterwards. And I also kind of wanted to anchor that in so I could design the rest of the yard around it. So I learned a lot from the build of the outdoor kitchen. So when we moved into this house, we knew that we wanted to put a pool in the backyard. That was something like, okay, that's a given. We're gonna get a pool. So that was the first thing that was on the plan. Next, I was like, well, I actually think it would be great to have a hot tub as well for, you know, cooler months when it's cold outside. We can actually enjoy the yard still. We can be in the water. And also for me, a hot tub is more for relaxing. A pool is more for being active, swimming, stuff like that. So they have different uses and I wanted both. And so armed with that information, I went looking for inspiration pictures. I went looking for backyard designs, and I really was drawn to the Studio McGee backyard design as well as the Chris Loves Julia backyard. I really like how their backyards flow, the features that they have, the functionality that they have, and the design elements that they included. So those were my two biggest inspirations for when I went to start designing how our actual backyard was going to be. For the design process, a couple people have asked me how that goes. So basically what I did is we got the plans for our house and it shows all the dimensions for everything, like the measurements, the square footage, yada, yada, yada. I sent it to a designer. I just hired a designer randomly, and I told the designer the features that I wanted. I wanted a pool, I wanted a hot tub. I also wanted a fire pit because, again, when I was looking at the inspiration yards, saw that they had a fire pit, and I thought that would be a really nice feature to include in our yard as well. Like, it just had that cozy feeling that I thought would work really great. I also told him that I wanted some pavers with grass in between. That was a feature that I think is in both of the Studio McGee and the Chris Loves Julia backyards. They have that feature, and I was so drawn to that. It's so eye-catching to me, and it's so classic as well. I was like, I'm all in. I want the pavers with the grass in between. I love that look. And I sent him a few inspiration pictures and dimensions of our backyard. A couple days later, the designer sent the renderings back, and I was like, oh, I love the overall look and feel of this. I did want to make some minor tweaks to it. I I did think that they had a little bit too much seating in the rendering, so I knew that I didn't want to just overcrowd the backyard with a bunch of outdoor furniture. I wanted it to feel airy. I didn't want it to feel cluttered, so I knew I was gonna take some of that away. And then the fire pit in the rendering, it is square. I thought that we had enough square rectangular elements in the backyard that I felt that it was necessary to go circular just to break up all of the angles. So I changed the fire pit from square to circular. And then I had showed you guys the renderings and I was telling you what I was thinking about for the rest of the yard. I'm so glad I did, because someone had brought to my attention, they were like, maybe you should switch the hot tub with the lounge chair so that the hot tub could be next to the fire pit, so that when you're in the hot tub, maybe it's cold outside, you have the fire running and you can be next to it instead of having the fire pit all the way on the other side of the hot tub. And I just thought, oh my goodness, what a great idea. I didn't even think of that. Why didn't I think of that? And I was like, okay, we're gonna switch those. We're gonna put the hot tub next to the fire pit so they can be all together. They had like a tanning ledge on the renderings that I did not want. I knew that would be a feature I would never use, that my family probably would never use. I really don't enjoy tanning ledges, so I wanted to take that out, because I also wanted the pool to have the most space for actual swimming. I wanted a pool where you could swim, you could do laps, you could have multiple people in it at one time and not feel bunched up. On the rendering, I felt like the stairs and that little ledge, it was taking up too much space that could have been used for swimming. I was like, let's do away with that. Let's make the pool a little bit bigger, because on the drawings, I was like, it looks like we can go a little bit bigger on the pool. I mean, this is a big project. This is not cheap. And when it was all said and done, I wanted to make sure that this was a pool that we actually could fully enjoy, because I don't know if we could go back and change things. Let's go as big as possible so we could grow into it. You know, we have a big family. So I knew going into it, those were the tweaks I was gonna make. But overall, I was really happy with how that first design came out. And so I was like, I think I'm good. This is gonna work. Now, when we went to move forward with trying to find a company to actually do the backyard, the company that did our outdoor kitchen, they do pools as well. They do like total backyard stuff. We were trying to get a quote from them. I don't know what happened with the communication on their end, because we followed up and they never got back to us with actual pricing. So I thought that was strange, and I was like, okay, that must be a sign. We need to find someone else to do it. So I took the renderings that I got from the designer and I sent them to 2 pool companies, and they were both really great. They were both like, oh yeah, we can do this job. These renderings look good. Both of the quotes, they came in at around the same price. However, quote number 2 included the artificial turf, which the first quote did not. And I don't know if you guys know, but artificial turf can be kind of pricey. And so that was a very significant cost that we would have had to shell out ourselves if we went with company number 1. So I was like, okay, let's go with company number 2. Their reviews are amazing. The one thing that pool company number 1 included though, that was not on my renderings and I did not ask for, but they put it on their drawings, because when they put it in their system, their own renderings based off the drawings that I gave them, it looks slightly different than the ones that I got from the designer. And they included like this wall that goes around the back of the pool area. I had never thought of that, but then when I saw it on their renderings, I was like, I absolutely love it. I love it. I want to include that. But since we didn't go with pool company number 1, I took that information to pool company number 2 and I was like, can you do this wall like that? And they were like, of course we can. So thank you to pool company number 1 for giving me that idea, because I definitely wanted to include that in our build as well. So after we chose who we were going with, we went to their design center and we picked out some materials. I actually had to go twice because I thought about it after the first meeting and I was like, no, I think I want to change some things. So I ended up picking some totally different tile than I picked previously. I went with a dark gray tile for the surround of the spa, because on the renderings that I got from the designer, I saw that it was all one color. But when I thought about it, I wanted the spa to kind of stand out a little bit more. And I also wanted to add more color variation to the backyard build. I didn't want it to all look monotone, all white. I looked at a bunch of different pools online, a bunch of different pools and brochures. And the ones that I was drawn to the most, they had these blue tiles around the water line. So I knew I wanted to do blue as well. And then for the fire pit, I didn't want it to be too matchy-matchy with the spa. I went with a lighter tile for that, like an off-white, but it was in the same style as the spa. So they flowed, but they weren't too matchy-matchy. And then one thing that was major for me, and this was a non-negotiable, I knew I wanted travertine pavers. To me, there's just nothing like it. It just looks quality, it looks luxury. And I knew from looking at so many pictures of backyards that I wanted travertine pavers because the look is just unmatched. So I went with a sandblasted paver. I believe it's in the color snow or something like that. So once we picked all the materials for the backyard, finalized the design, signed the contract, paid a deposit, and everything was in motion. First, they had people come out and mark our backyard to locate the utility lines. Then a couple days later, they had their crew come out and do an outline of where everything would be situated. So they did an outline of the pool, of the spa. And once I saw that, I started to get excited, but then I also got very, very nervous because I noticed that where they had the pool marked off, the utility lines went right through it. And the sales guy did warn us about that. He said if any of the utility lines are in the way of where the pool is going to go or the spa is going to go, they're going to have to be rerouted. They're going to have to be moved. And that is going to be an extra cost that is not covered by them. So this is one thing to keep in mind if you are planning to build a pool, that you may have to get your utility lines moved. And that's going to be a charge that you are most likely going to have to pay out of pocket, like we had to do. So they came out, they moved the lines to around the very perimeter of the yard. It kind of looked like somebody dug a tunnel under our yard. And then just a few days later, y'all, the backyard build was firmly underway because they completed the excavation and the framing, and they had started on doing the plumbing work for the pool and the spa. And I was in awe. I could not believe it. Things really started to get real. 2 days after that, they had poured the concrete, so the shells were in. Things were really starting to take form, and I was getting a sense of how the yard would be. When they do that, you do have to water the concrete. I believe we had to do it 3 times a day for 10 days. It has to stay wet for it to cure, I guess. And so that was something that we had to do every single day, multiple times a day, for the pool and the spa. Now, while all this is going on, we have rain, we have weather. Our yard starts to look so tore up and so just gross and nasty, and we still had to go out there and water this thing. So yeah, things got really bad looking and really gritty and grimy looking for some time. Besides that, they also had installed the pool pumps and equipment and things like that on the side of our house. And I could not believe all of the gizmos and gadgets and pipes and connections and things that it took to run this whole shebang. But it was very interesting to see. About 2 weeks after they had installed the concrete and everything had cured and was ready, they started to bring the tile in, and they installed the tile for the coping around the pool, as well as the tile, the blue tile around the water line. And I was so excited. I was getting so anxious and happy and just giddy just seeing all of this come together. And I felt like things at this point were moving super quickly. And when I saw the tile in, I was ecstatic because I was kind of nervous. You know, when you're picking out materials in a design center, it's different than seeing it together in real life. And I was just hoping that it looked right. And I was so thrilled that it actually came together exactly how I had envisioned in my mind. But around this time, we had a major issue because I went into the pool. Like, I just wanted to go in there and gallivant and see how it felt just going into the shell of the pool while there was no water in there. When I walked into the pool, y'all, I felt like my hip was gonna give out. No joke, the incline on the stairs was so steep, so uncomfortable, it was almost unbearable. I was like, wait a minute, am I tripping, or does this just feel uncomfortable to walk into? So I had a couple other people walk in, they're like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. Initially in the design, we were in the design center and the guy was like, how many stairs do you want? Blah, blah, blah. I was relying on his professional opinion, but also in my mind, I'm like, I want 3 steps because I think I saw it on another pool where they just had 3 steps going into the pool. And I am of the mindset like odd numbers look the best. And so I'm like, I don't want 5 steps. That seems like too much, but 3 steps seems like perfect because it'll just look the best. But y'all, when I stepped into this pool, it was a no-go. I was like, not gonna work. Stop everything. And I was just so nervous that they were gonna continue before this problem was fixed. So we hurried up and got the project manager, like the guy that comes out here. We got him on the phone, talked to him. We're like, the steps need to be fixed. I know it's my mistake because I wanted 3 stairs, but it's too steep. The width of the stairs is actually too small too. So like, it felt like I was tiptoeing down the steps. We said, well, can we fix this? Can we add another step to it? And initially he was like, no, the concrete's been poured. This is how it is. This is what you asked for. We can't fix it. I was not taking that for an answer because I'm like, you are not plastering this pool with these steps like this, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna wanna get into it. And this is way too expensive for us to be building a pool to not even want to use it because the incline is so unbearable. And so we called into the office to the original guy that we had worked with in the design center, got him on the horn. We're like, sir, this is what happened. We need to get this fixed ASAP before anything else happens. He came to the rescue. The guy in the office was like, of course, we can fix this. We can make it right. What dimensions for the steps would you like? So I had to go out there several times, y'all. I was out there with like the crew who was doing other parts of the backyard. I was getting their opinions. I was with my measuring tape, doing everything. I was under the gun, y'all. I was under so much pressure to get this right because if I messed this up, we would just be stuck with it. So I finally got some dimensions that I thought would work. I sent them to the guy in the office. He talked to the guy that is the project manager, and the project manager called us like, okay, the concrete people will be here tomorrow to add another step. So thankfully, we went from 3 steps to 4 steps. But of course, since that was our change, we did have to pay for that. And I was willing to do that though because it was such a big deal. It was such a necessary change. It had to be done. So after they added that 4th step and everything was right with the world again, they continued on. They took up all of our grass, well, the grass that was left from all of the construction and trampling, and they started to flatten the ground so they could install the pavers. They started by doing the pavers on our patio actually. We had them lay it in this pattern. I don't know, I think it's called French lay or something like that, but we had them lay it in this pattern because I thought that looked the most chic, the most interesting, but it was still subtle as well. It wasn't too over the top, so that's why I chose that pattern. And then they just started doing the rest of it. I did want to mention we also did include a little ledge in the deep end of the pool just because I thought it would be nice to sit there or to have an easy exit when you're in the deep end of the pool. So we did add that ledge, which is very, very useful. Now, laying the tile for this project was one of the most tedious parts. They were out here for about a week just laying tile for the patio and for the decking and everything like that. So that was kind of a slow roll. They formed the pavers. I was just dreaming about the pavers for such a long time. They put the pavers down and they also did the outlines for the fire pit as well as the grassy area. I really loved the segmented look that the original designer had incorporated into my design. So when they had laid that down in real life, it just solidified like this is the right decision because it kind of just breaks things up a bit where, you know, okay, this is this zone, this is this zone, and it creates different entertaining areas, which I really love. After that, they started to build up the fire pit, the stone on here. I really, really enjoyed the look of it. Once that was done, they started prepping the pool for the plaster and they started spraying it on. That process only took a couple hours. I couldn't believe how fast that went. But y'all, when I saw the pool after the plaster was applied, I kind of got nervous because I'm like, this looks very light, very bright, very white. Is this gonna look right once the water is in it? I was nervous that it wouldn't be the coloring that I wanted when it was all said and done. So I was holding my breath about that. I was like, did I make the right choice on the, what is it called? The Pebble Tech? We use Pebble Tech. I'm not sure if that's a brand name or a product name, but we use Pebble Tech and I chose like one of the lightest colors. Initially, the surface of the pool just looked plain white, and the Pebble Tech that I chose, it had some specks of blue in it. So when the water is in, it's supposed to reflect and show this really pretty crystal blue color, and that's what I wanted. But then I saw that once a little section of it got wet, it did start to expose those blue specks, and I was like, okay, maybe all will be well after all. The next day, y'all, they started filling the pool. They just threw holes in there. It took about 36 hours for the pool to completely fill, so it took quite a while. And when the pool was filled, I was not happy, y'all. I was not happy. Okay, I was not thrilled with the watercolor. It looked green tinted to me. It didn't look natural. It didn't look quite right. I was internally freaking out a little bit initially, but crisis was averted when they came in and they treated the water. They put the chemicals that's supposed to be in there in it, and it turned the blue that it's supposed to be. I was like, woo, what a load off, because it wasn't looking too good at first. After that, we got our fence stained because if you have seen throughout this video, up until this point, our fence was just looking weathered. It was looking worn. The fence is less than 2 years old, but it's untreated wood, so quickly. It just develops this cast that's not very appealing. And I knew for the backyard that was not gonna work. It would bring the whole design down. So we had someone come and stain it. We went with a color called cedar, and it was just like a breath of new life was pumped into the fence because it looked so good. I was very happy with it. And we needed to get the fence stained quickly because I knew I wanted to put hedges up. So we had to get that done before the hedges went in because it would be very difficult to stain a fence with hedges in front of it. So for the hedges, we went to a nursery. I envisioned having a tree-lined fence. It makes you just feel so one with nature, and it just looks super nice. Was looking at so many different options. Finally landed on the green emerald blueberry tree. These grow bigger than what we bought them as, but the height that we bought them as, I was like, oh, that'll be perfect because they'll be just about as tall as the fence line. So they're starting out at a really nice height, and they'll only get bigger and taller and fuller, and it's gonna be great. So we bought 15 of those, and the trees against our newly stained fence. I was loving the color. I was loving the composition, the contrast. Everything was starting to really come together. Now at this point, we ran into another issue, which was really a blessing in disguise because during this time we had some torrential downpours, we had some really severe weather, and part of the backyard flooded. The main part that flooded that could have been an extremely big issue had this not been fixed was the receptacle at the very end of the pool. That receptacle is where our automatic pool cover was going to be housed. Don't think I mentioned this before, but one of the non-negotiables for this pool build was that we have an automatic pool cover. I was not budging on that. I have small kids. Safety is my #1 priority, and there's other options for, you know, pool safety. There's like, you could do a fence around the pool. I really didn't want that because I don't like the look of it. There's manual covers, and again, I was like, that's not gonna work because who wants to actually go all around the pool and manually put a cover on? I felt like the automatic cover would be the best solution. It would make me feel more at peace to have such a large body of water out in our backyard, to know that I can just cover it up and nobody can get in it. The kids can't get in it. The kids can't open it. So we incorporated that into the pool build, but when it got flooded, the crew was like, oh goodness, we're gonna have to install another drain because the drain that we had already put in is not adequate enough, and it's not taking the water out the way it's supposed to. So they basically had to dig up our yard again and create another drain to go all around the yard from that receptacle. And I was shaking in my boots about this because we had just installed those hedges, and I'm like, please don't disturb the hedges, please don't. They're under warranty, but if we do something, it's gonna be our fault. But everything did go well. They installed the new drainage without a hitch, and the flooding issue was solved. Finished up the fire pit by adding the rocks and putting in the gas apparatus. Then the crew started working on the turf, and this was interesting to watch them do. They had to prep the area, then lay the turf. While they were working on the turf, the pool cover people came out and they were working on installing the pool cover. They were testing it out. Things were looking really good, and the project was pretty much wrapping up at this point. All that was left to do is to add gravel around the fire pit area, finish the turf all around the backyard because we had the turf not just between the pavers but also surrounding that pool area. We did contact another company to come in and add mulch around the perimeter of the yard, so behind the turf, because the pool company, they didn't do that, and it was just basically dirt left around the fence line. So we had a company come and put mulch there to just make it look a lot nicer. I pulled out our patio sofa and our little outdoor coffee table. I put that on the patio. I bought some new lounge chairs for by the pool. I got this really nice striped umbrella, which I think just ties in those black and white colors in the backyard, and it also adds a little bit more razzle dazzle, a little bit more pizzazz. I got some chairs for around the fire pit, added some other decor pieces, and the backyard is all done. So drum roll please. This is the finished backyard, and man, what a difference. So this is literally a lesson in trusting the process, because there were so many points in this whole thing where it did not look that nice, but it turned out so wonderfully. I'm in awe of how the colors work together, the textures, the materials. I'm in love with the design, the flow. I think that the outdoor kitchen just ties in so perfectly with the rest of the backyard. That's what I was going for. I was going for a cohesive look. look. Also, the patio is super inviting now for wanting to sit out there and chill. By the way, this sofa I got from, I believe I got it from Amazon. It is extremely comfortable. It's great to sit on. I'm just so thrilled with the patio. The pavers, it just took the patio up a million notches from what the flooring used to be. The fire pit area is a great place to vibe out, catch some sun if it's during the daytime. The chairs are super nice to lounge in. They feel amazing just to sink down into them. It's almost like you could curl up and take a nap in these chairs. The pavers and the turf add such a stylized look. To me, it really helps the backyard design to pop. I don't think the backyard would look this nice without it. The rectangle of fun, as I like to call it, off to the side near the outdoor kitchen, perfect for outdoor games. Kids can play there. The dog likes to be out there and lay on that patch as well. So it's extremely useful. It's multi-purpose. It's a whatever you want it to be at the moment type of thing. The pool turned out amazing. I have never had a pool, y'all. I've said this before. I've never had a pool. My mind is blown sometimes when I get into it. I am just in heaven. I'm so glad that we went a bit bigger and that we enlarged it, because now there's plenty of space for multiple people to actually swim, play pool games. The color of the water just makes me always want to be in there. I feel like sometimes when I'm walking into the pool, I'm walking on a white sand beach into the ocean. That's how it feels when I get into the pool. The lounge chairs that I had by the pool, I got them from Wayfair, and they are just amazing for kicking back, laying out. Really, really comfortable to lay on. I like to sometimes go out there with a nice book. And then for the spa, it's extremely relaxing. I like to just go out there and sit and listen to a podcast a lot of times. And at first I was kind of apprehensive about the size of the spa. I thought it might be a little too big, but no, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I love, even just if I'm in there by myself, I love how spacious it is. And like I said, with the pool cover, it's wonderful to just have that peace of mind to know that I can close the pool up. Kids can't get in, kids can't open it. And ours is quick and easy to open and close. We can open or close it in less than 30 seconds. We also are going to get a cover for the spa as well. Not an automatic cover, just a regular one we can put on there, because that's small enough where we can manually put it on, take it off type of thing. But the pool cover is great, not just from a safety perspective, although that was the number one reason why we got it. It also helps to keep debris, dirt, bugs out of the pool. So it helps to keep the pool cleaner. It helps the pool water to retain heat. So when you get in the water, it's a comfortable temperature. It's not frigid. It helps the pool to retain chemicals if you have the cover on, so you use less chemicals. There's so many benefits to having a pool cover, and the way that they have it built in, it's almost unnoticeable. If I didn't tell you that we had a pool cover, most people, they wouldn't even notice that it was there. And then I have to show y'all how this looks at nighttime, because it looks amazing during the day, but the ambiance at night is just everything, y'all. When you turn the lights on for the pool and the spa, and if you couple that with the fire pit, it is so cozy and serene. It's like you never want to leave. And it's just so exciting. Even now, even still, we've had this backyard done for a couple months at this point. I'm still giddy like a school kid when I think about the backyard and I think about the pool, because it's such a big deal to us to be able to do something like this and to have it come out so perfectly, so spot on. It's a great feeling. It's the biggest home project I've ever done, and thankfully, it turned out so much better than I even could conceptualize it. To me in real life, I don't know even if the camera is doing it justice, but in real life, y'all, I feel like it looks even better than the mock-ups. And then this entire project only took about 4 months to complete. It really flew by so fast, and it wrapped up at the perfect time for us to actually enjoy the pool, to be able to use it all summer long. Now, the backyard isn't quite 100% finished. There are a few little things that we still want to do, but I wanted to bring y'all how it looks now because it's mostly done. But I will be doing further updates on the things that we add in. So I'm planning on adding in some shrubs between the tall trees just to fill out that back fence space, and then also adding some shrubs behind the fire pit area and then behind the rectangle of fun. There's 2 mounds of just mulch right there right now. There's nothing else there, and we're planning on putting some shrubs right there to just make the backyard look a lot more lively, bring some more plants. And then for the patio, I'm thinking about adding an outdoor rug underneath the sofa. I think it might need a little bit more grounding, so something underneath that sofa would be good in my mind. Y'all let me know what you think. Do you think I should leave it how it is, or do you think I should add an outdoor rug out there? And then I'm probably gonna get another umbrella. It's nice to have some shade over the spa as well. Right now we're like moving the umbrella back and forth between the lounge area by the pool and over by the spa. So it would be nice to just have dedicated umbrellas on both areas, so if the sun is really bright, we can have shade there. And then someone had actually asked me to talk about the increase in cost associated with having a pool. So a pool requires maintenance. We have a pool guy come out every week. He does the chemical maintenance, he cleans the pool every week, and of course that's gonna cost, I think he's around $300 a month. Now there's some guys that we contacted that are less than that, and you can also just service your pool yourself if you want to, but we picked this guy because he had really good reviews and we just liked his vibe. As far as utilities, there has been a slight increase in our bills. I would say our electric bill went up maybe about 15% per month. And then the cover, that is supposed to be maintained on a schedule. I'm not sure exactly what that schedule is. I think it might be yearly for them to come out and test it, make sure it's working right. And I'm not sure how much that costs yet, so we'll see. So guys, that wraps up this video. That is our backyard renovation project in a nutshell. I totally love it. I hope you guys love it too. If you have any questions, leave them below, and I will see you on my next video.